RhyGuy Digital here, coming at you with another career tip video on how to become a web developer, professional web developer in 2021. Let's go. We have 4 things to go over today, and we're going to stay high level. And then what I might do is, depending on what you guys want to hear, what you guys want to see, I could dive more deep into these topics at a later time. I'm probably going to create videos for each of these individual recommendations. So here we go. Number 1, pick 4 to 5 portfolio projects to put and display in your resume, site, and GitHub. Now here's why. Once you have 4 to 5 portfolio projects that are solid, they're actually out in the world, they could browse on the interwebs and actually interact and view your application, you're able to walk in any interview and say, hey, employer A, this is what I built, this is what I've used, this is why I chose this tech stack, and this is how they all work together to make this beautiful application. Would you like me to show you and walk you through my thought process and how I built this? Because I think it will be super valuable in this role with you today. This is what I learned from a recruiter that helped me land my my first developer job. I was actually a web designer building custom WordPress sites, and she said, this is what I've seen that wins interviews time and time again with these hiring managers, especially in the tech community. Number 2, pick which tech you want to use per project. You want to be able to talk about your project, why you chose the specific tools to build your project. The important part, especially landing a job, a web developer job that you really want, and for a company you really want to work with, it's important that they see that expertise, that level of curiosity, passion, and the ability, the know-how to use all these pieces of tech together, right? To build something that ultimately solves a problem. When you're picking tech that you want to focus on, think about this. For each project, think about the pieces that are needed for that project, for that full stack application or whatever you're building. What's the general components needed to make that work? Okay, so let's break this down. So let's take that Netflix clones example, right? So you need a front end. What are you going to use to present that layer, right? Are you going to just use HTML and CSS, or are you going to use Angular or React? What are you going to use to represent the UI? Then what are you going to use to represent the back end? Because with every full stack application, there's always data, right? If you create a calculator, that's great, right? That's another project you can do. That shows that you know how to work with a backend, a database, right? Like MongoDB, SQL Server, SQL, MySQL. Just pick one, right? Pick one that maybe aligns with the job title you're looking for, the company that you want to apply for. Maybe they're using SQL Server. So pick SQL Server as your backend, right? And that way, when you walk into that job, you say, hey, employer, actually, I noticed that you use SQL Server to build your applications for your clients. Do you mind if I show you this Netflix clone where I actually use SQL Server to drive this application? I think it will be super valuable. Like how I think, and this is just what I recommend, but there's a lot of advice out there, great advice. But what I've used to land my first job and continue to try to win contracts and jobs is I go in with the end goal in mind, right? Like what is the client, the companies, what do they use, and what can I build to show them that I know how to use that X, Y, and Z technology? Okay, number 3, create your portfolio site. So now that you have 4 to 5 solid projects, you're excited and you learned so much. Now it's time to share it with the world, share it with your employer, and how you go about doing that is either putting it on your GitHub profile, showcasing it on LinkedIn, Facebook, just put it out there. But more professionally, you want to have your own site, like johndoe.com. I have ryanvargas.com or RhyGuy.com. And so ultimately, that's what you want to do, is you want to take these 4 to 5 projects, revamp your portfolio site, and tailor it to the role that you're ultimately applying for, right? For example, if you want to be a front-end web developer, you want to find the technologies, the components that typical front-end developers use. Then you put it in your portfolio projects, make sure you know how to talk about them. Then when you're on your site, that's the opportunity to give a brief statement of who you are, what you're about, and professionally, what you're trying to achieve, right? I'm a front-end web developer, passionate about React.js, CSS animation, and bringing static sites to life with interactivity or animation, right? That's a very specific bio, about, summary statement that's powerful. It shows your employer exactly what you love and what you're great at. And then, boom, you have that section with your portfolio projects to prove it. So that's ultimately what you want. I could determine as an employer if you're the right fit for my team. That leads us right into number 4, which is revamping, updating, or refactoring your resume so then you ultimately can apply to jobs for the role you're looking for. And literally, you want to grab that template, substitute things in for your own personal information. Now, a couple notes that I want to make here is you want to make it ATS friendly. If you go to websites like Indeed or Monster.com, when you apply to these jobs, they go through a process where a bot or AI or a program scans the resume. Just research how to make it ATS friendly. There's a lot of free converters out there. Maybe I'll link it in the description below. Make sure it's short and concise, but shows the most recent experience that's relative to the job you're applying for. You want to make sure that all the links, like your portfolio site, your GitHub, your LinkedIn, that all those properties are solid, because once someone has your resume, they're gonna look at all those sites. So just make sure they're already, most importantly, aligned, right, cohesive with the role you're trying to apply for. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. I hope that helped. Those are the 4 tips and recommendations from me on how to be job ready as a web developer and ultimately land your first tech job in 2021. Make sure you like and comment and subscribe down below. That way you always stay up to date with videos that I release to help you land your first job or your next job. So be well, guys. God bless, and kill it this week. All right, peace.